I just want to take a moment to say something really, really serious. If you are a parent, please do not relax your child's hair. There's already a vitamin D deficiency that 80% of Black women experience, and now to compound that with endocrine disruptors from that we're putting on our scalp, it's only going to lead and trigger a domino effect negatively concerning our health. If natural hair was the in thing and a bust down middle part bone straight wig was not it, like nobody cared for it, so much so that even Kim Kardashian went out and got an Afro wig because she was feeling left out, would we even be having a conversation about prioritizing the health of our hair and our bodies over relaxer? Would that even be a topic of conversation? Can I ask you an honest question? When you look in the mirror and you have nothing on, no makeup, no wig, no braids, no extensions, it's literally just your skin and the hair that you were born with, what do you see? What do you think about what you see? Do you find it beautiful? Do you find it attractive? Do you find your natural hair sexy? Would you wear it out proudly? And the reason I ask is because in today's video, we're going to be talking about relaxers, right? And relaxers allow you to achieve an aesthetic where your hair is permanently straight. And I want to do a deep dive into the impact of relaxers on the health of your hair. This podcast, this channel is called Phenomenal Hair, Phenomenal You. And so I like to teach and educate women on how to achieve phenomenal hair and to be the most phenomenal versions of themselves, because hair needs to be looked at holistically. And so when we talk about relaxers, I want us to really explore the impact of relaxers on the health of our hair. And I also want to do a deep dive into the impact of relaxers on our overall health. And I think it's really time that we understand what relaxing our hair means beyond just appearances, and what it actually means on a deeper level, so that we can make informed choices for ourselves and for our children as to whether or not we do decide to go and have a relaxer. Now, the purpose of this video isn't to condemn anybody who does relax their hair or to make you feel like you have to choose to become or to transition into having natural hair. But literally the purpose of this video is to give you knowledge, to give you understanding, so that you can take the best course of action for your hair and for yourself. Okay, now me personally, as a child, I was always praised about my hair being thick, being long. But then as a teenager, I began to lose the appreciation for my natural hair. And I believe it's because I was going through a period of conditioning, right? Society begins to tell you what is acceptable, what is attractive, what is appealing. And I didn't relax my hair until I was about 15 years old. And I remember that right before relaxing my hair, there was an incident that took place. And so I used to wear my hair natural because my mom was a hairdresser. I would also have access to any other hairstyles I wanted. And so I also used to rotate and wear weaves. And back then, when I was wearing weaves in secondary school, weaves were not the in thing. In fact, weaves were taboo. And so I remember wearing my natural hair, and I would get on the bus with my friends. We would encounter people from other schools. I went to an all-girls school, so we'd encounter boys and girls from other schools. And I remember this particular group of boys and girls, and they would never really, let's say, not even say they, the boys, should I say, would never really look in my direction, right? Until one week I decided to hot comb my hair. And I remember the week that I hot combed my hair, this same boy who I'd seen on the bus day in, day out, all of a sudden noticed me, right? And, asked my friend if he could have my number. No, okay? No, he could not have my number. Why am I saying no? The reason I'm saying no is because a couple of weeks before that day, I had a weave. We were on the bus, it was completely filled, we were on the top deck. There were people from my secondary school and people from this other secondary school, everybody was on the bus, and somehow the conversation turned to weaves. So people were talking about weaves, and all of a sudden one girl goes, does anybody on the bus have a weave? The whole bus turns around and looks at me, who's sitting at the back of the bus, and literally the whole bus erupts in laughter. I'm talking laughter, the stamping of feet. I was ridiculed for a good 5 minutes. 5 minutes because I was wearing a weave. And the boy that I just mentioned, who asked for my number when I hot combed my hair a few weeks back, this same boy was the one who pioneered that ridiculing. Okay? So I say all this to say that me wearing my natural hair and encountering, the other sex, right? And not being paid any attention to, and then all of a sudden my hair is straight, and this same person who has ridiculed me completely forgets the embarrassment they caused me and has the audaciousness, the audacity to try and ask for my number. What does that do for me What does that do for me psychologically as a teenage girl? It reinforces that beauty is when I have my hair straightened and not when my hair is in its natural state. And it wasn't until I gave birth to my first daughter, years later, that I began to have an appreciation and a love for my natural hair. And this was almost 7 years ago now that I had my first daughter. And then now as we speak, because of the study that I have done as a certified trichologist, really trying to help women address hair loss and to see hair growth, because of that study that I have done, and because I have looked at hair from a holistic perspective, from a robust perspective, I have an SMP framework in which I use to look at hair. I look at hair from a scientific perspective, sometimes spiritual. M is for mindset and mentality, and P is for physical and practical. And because I've now looked at hair from this lens, I realize that hair is so much more than just this thing that we can use to express ourselves. It's so much more than, fibers growing from our scalp. It's so much more than something that makes us attractive when it is worn in a certain way, right? Our hair is a health monitor. It's an indication of our physical and our emotional strength, right? Our hair can tell us things about what is happening internally before we even have the opportunity to go to the NHS and get an X-ray. Our hair tells us so much. Our hair tells a story. Whew, it goes deep, right? But that's not what this video is about. But if you want to learn more about my holistic approach to hair health, then you can click the link in my description and you can watch my complimentary training. What I was saying before I went on this tangent is I now have an appreciation for the hair that I was born with, the hair on my head that has been numbered. I have much more of an appreciation for it now. And for me, this video is not about condemning anybody who relaxes their hair or telling you, you need to stop relaxing your hair. But this video is to educate you, to give you that knowledge and to give you that understanding about the impact of relaxer on your hair and on your overall health. And then from that point, it is for you to make the decision if it is still something that you desire to do. And so let's begin. What exactly does relaxer do to your hair? So we're going to start with what it does to your hair, and then I'm going to go into what it does to your body, to your overall health. Relaxer is a chemical substance, right? And it contains something called sodium hydroxide, and that is a harsh corrosive substance that has the ability to burn the scalp, right? But the purpose of it in the relaxer is to break the bonds of your kinky, coily hair. It breaks the disulfide bonds of your kinky, curly hair, and it makes it permanently straight, right? And as I mentioned before, because it is highly corrosive, it also has the ability to burn the scalp if left on for too long. Now, you also have relaxers which are called no-lie relaxers, and those are supposed to be gentler, but those contain guanidine hydroxide, and that can still cause irritation to your scalp. So when you look at the process of what relaxer does to your hair, I like to think about things, like I said, holistically. And when I personally deep reflect on what relaxer does, it permanently destroys the bonds in your hair so that it can be straight. That is irreversible. So it destroys something, it breaks something in order for you to achieve that straight hair that you desire. And when you think about your life, if you think about any situation or any instance in your life, would you have a desire for something to be permanently destroyed and broken? Unless something is of a negative nature. So let's say hypothetically, unless we're talking about something maybe generational, like a sickness, like cancer, right? That's something that I can say that I would want to be completely destroyed and broken. I don't want cancer in my bloodline, right? But that's something that's negative, right? Outside of something being negative, what in your life that you love or that you care about or that you treasure or that you value would you want to be permanently destroyed and broken, non-fixable? Because I can't actually think of anything. But when you relax your hair, that is what has taken place. You are breaking the bonds in your hair. You are destroying it permanently. And there's so many other things that come with that. So your hair, it loses the ability to retain moisture, right? Because your cuticle layers, your hair strand is made up of layers of cuticles. And those cuticles, they lay flat, right? They respond to, let's say, water. They respond to heat. And so they do have times where they open, and they can open to allow moisture in, and then they can close again to keep that moisture in. But when you relax your hair, that cuticle layer, right, it becomes permanently open because the chemical needs to go into the hair shaft to break the bond. And once it does that, your hair cuticle remains open, right? And so it loses its ability to retain moisture. Moisture goes in and it goes right back out. So that's why there are particular products that you have to use when you have relaxed hair in order to ensure that your hair does not become dry and does not become brittle. And so this is what happens when you relax your hair. This is what happens to your hair strands when you relax your hair. And now I want us to take a look into what happens to your scalp and to your body when you relax your hair. So that's what relaxer does to your hair. Now, in terms of what it does to your scalp, right? It actually strips away the protective layer of your scalp. And that can lead to chronic inflammation of the scalp. That's when you begin to have issues with itching, with dryness, or with dandruff, because there is an imbalance in the scalp because you have removed that protective layer. This is what happens to your hair, to your scalp on a surface level. But what happens internally when you are using relaxers, when you're using harsh chemicals and substances on your head? Well, your hair has follicular openings, right? So where your hair grows out from is the follicle. And what you apply to your scalp, it has the ability to penetrate through the layers of the skin on the scalp and enter into your bloodstream. And so the chemicals in relaxers are actually known to be endocrine disruptors. What is an endocrine disruptor? The endocrine system is our body's hormonal system. And so when you use chemicals like a relaxer, it disrupts your hormonal balance. And as you know, hormones play a very big part in your hair growth, in your hair health, but it actually plays a big part in your body's entire health. And so when you use relaxers, you're actually exposing yourself and opening yourself up to hormonal imbalances. What does this mean for your hair? Well, for your hair, I've mentioned before that an excess of cortisol, for instance, that can cause your hair to shed prematurely. So your hair moves from the growing phase into the shedding phase early, right? Vitamin D is a hormone, right? Vitamin D helps to regulate and to balance the hormones within your body. But if you're disrupting that very same hormonal system and you disrupt a hormone like vitamin D, you're throwing things out of balance. And this can have implications on your health. I've actually seen, because I study hair so much and I study it from a holistic point of view, and I've seen that there is a link between women who have low vitamin D and uterine fibroids. So when you're applying chemicals onto your scalp that further cause an imbalance to your hormones, then it's no wonder that there is a link between relaxers and uterine fibroids in Black women. There's already a vitamin D deficiency that 80% of Black women experience. And now to compound that with endocrine disruptors from the relaxers that we're putting on our scalp, it's only going to lead and trigger a domino effect negatively concerning our health. As well as this, there have been studies that have shown that there is a link between types of cancer and relaxers. So we've looked at the effect that relaxers have on your hair. We've looked at the effects it has on your scalp, and we've looked at the effect that it has on your body. And I just want to take a moment to say something really, really serious. If you are a parent, if you are a mother, please do not relax your child's hair. If you are listening to this video and you have understood the implications that relaxer can have to your health, please, if you are a mother, if you are a father, do not relax your child's hair, okay? At least give them the option, give them the ability to choose if it's something they want to do once they can understand the implications of it. But do not expose your child, right, to the implications that using relaxer can cause. Do not disrupt your child's hormonal system prematurely. Do not allow them to become disposed or at a higher risk of developing certain diseases. Let them choose for themselves. You have the liberty to choose. Let them choose. So, going back into the video, I just had to say that because there was a period where I was actually thinking about going back to relaxer. And before I did, I said, you know what, let me do a deep dive onto relaxers. Or should I say a deep dive into relaxers? Because I was craving a particular hairstyle. I love hair versatility, right? I love the ability to be able to change my hairstyle whenever I want to. I love expressing myself using my hair. And I was going through a season, and my seasons usually last a month. I want a new hairstyle every single month, right? And so I wanted to relax my hair. I wanted a particular look. And I was just like, oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered to do a silk press. I don't want to run away from the rain. I don't want to have to run away from the gym, from the sauna, from the steam room, from the jacuzzi. I want this particular hairstyle, but I want to live my life the way that I want to live my life. I was like, let me just go and get a relaxer. But I said, before I get that relaxer, let me do some research. And upon doing the research, I was like, do you know what? I mean, I could argue and I could debate of some of the things that I am finding, but at the end of the day, the evidence was too great. But even if it wasn't as great as it was, I just said, I can't risk it. I wouldn't risk it. I don't want to risk it now that I know what I know. And so knowledge is extremely powerful, right? Relaxers, they can cause inflammation within the body, and inflammation leads to sickness, even inflammatory alopecias, right? If you have an inflammatory type of alopecia, then you don't want to be using relaxers or chemicals on your head. CCCA, one of the most prevalent hair loss conditions in Black women, is triggered by inflammation. It's triggered by things such as relaxers and hair dyes, and even using heated tools too close to the scalp, right? And so for me, I'm going through a process of really renewing my mind about how I see my natural hair, see the hair that I was born with. I'm renewing my mind about what I think when I look at my natural hair. I am embracing looks that mimic and assimilate my natural hair, because I actually love my natural hair. I love how I look when I look in the mirror. I love my wash days. I love being able to put my fingers through my hair and condition it and treat it with love. And my mind has truly been renewed. And I guess there's probably even still more renewing that can be done, right? But I honestly think to myself, right? Let's flip the script. Let's say that natural hair was completely adored and glorified. I know that we have wonderful people who champion, who talk up the talk, who praise natural hair for its beauty, but it's not necessarily mainstream. When you look at the entertainment industry, when you look at fashion, when you look at the music industry, it's not necessarily natural hair that is being praised and is being glorified. But if we flipped the script and that was the narrative, right? If natural hair was the in thing and a bust down middle part bone straight wig was not it, like nobody cared for it, right? So much so that even Kim Kardashian went out and got an Afro wig because she was feeling left out. If that is what the narrative was, if that was what society deemed as chef's kisses, right? Would we even be having a conversation about prioritizing the health of our hair and our bodies over relaxer? Would that even be a topic of conversation? Like I said, I haven't created this video to condemn, but I've literally created to inform. I believe that knowledge and understanding is powerful. And if you want help, implementing the things that are required in order for you to achieve phenomenal hair, in order for you to address hair loss, in order for you to attain hair growth and maintain hair health and experience phenomenal hair. If you want somebody to coach you, and not just somebody, but if you want a professional, if you want a certified trichologist to hold your hand, right, and go with you on this journey to restoring your hair and to seeing your hair, like you've never seen it before, then click the link in my description and you can join my Strand Salvation Bootcamp. This community is where I literally coach you. I coach women on how to achieve phenomenal hair using a robust and holistic framework. So click the link in the description. You also have access to my complimentary training. And if you like this video, make sure you subscribe because I'm coming out every week and I am sharing the knowledge that I have acquired. I am sharing things that the industry is not telling us, in particular, Black women, about our hair. Phenomenal hair, phenomenal you is now.